let everybody in now. Okay. Bye. Come on.
Hello?
Hello.
Hello?
Hi.
Hi. Hi,
Hi,
Trish.
everybody.
Hello. Good to
Did
be
we-
here.
did we
Sorry
meet
it's taken me
before?
so long to be able to get back.
So I want to apologize to everyone. My computer just, everything was all slow. So I couldn't start the meeting. Anyway, okay. And Susan Gomberg is here on the phone.
Hi, Susan.
Hi, everybody.
Hi, Susan.
Okay, all right. So let's see. You ready, Susan Millinger?
Yeah.
Okay. So we'll call the meeting to order at 5:36 p.m. And we'll just go around and say that we're here. So Linda Ava Scott is here.
Joanne
Tracy-
Bernhardt is here.
Susan Gomberg here.
Janice Gray is here.
Susan Millinger is here.
Tracy McNaughton is here.
Great. I'm so glad you could join us, Tracy.
Oh,
Great.
thanks for sending me the link.
You're welcome. Okay, so we're expecting Acting Chief Burgess at 5:45 to give an update on the Sand for Seniors program. And so in the meantime, while we wait for her, we have 2 sets of minutes, thanks to Susan Millinger. So she's here. Kristen is here, so I'm just going to let her in. And so if we want to take the January 26th minutes, do we have a motion to approve?
Janice Gray will move that we approve the January 26 minutes as presented.
Gomberg,
That's
I
the way you
second
say it.
that.
Okay, and I heard Susan Gomberg second. Any discussion?
Yep.
Okay, shall we vote? Roll call vote?
Bernhardt, aye.
Gomberg, aye.
Gray, aye.
Millinger, aye.
And Scott, aye. All right, and now we have the February 9th minutes, and I wanted to thank Susan for sending them out just before the meeting so we could be refreshed. So we have the February 9th minutes now. Do we have a motion?
Gomberg, I move we approve the minutes from February 9th.
I'll second the motion. Any discussion? Okay, so we vote.
Bernhardt, aye.
Gomberg, aye.
Gray, aye.
Millinger, aye.
And Scott, aye. Okay, perfect.
Thank you,
Okay.
folks.
Oh, thank you, Susan.
Thank you.
Yes,
Yeah.
yeah.
And thank you, Susan, for your persistence. It's much appreciated.
Oh, thank you.
So,
I depend a lot on the editing skills of Janice Gray.
Thank you, Janice.
all right,
Or
so
proofreading.
Kristen hi, Kristen. I see that there's a police study group meeting starting soon. So do you want to go now?
If everyone's okay with that, I would love
Yeah.
to.
Yes.
I'm going to be extremely quick. I'm just very excited and I wanted to share it with everyone. The Sanford Seniors Program was an absolute hit that I feel it was. We had 16 participants so far in the Sanford Seniors Program. They were all very excited about it and very welcoming to the assistants. The village neighbors put out in their letter an announcement about that. So we may get a couple more, particularly with the snow we have going on right now. So it's great. I have also gathered out of the 16, I believe at least 14 people would like you all to have their emails. So I will make sure that yes.
Wow, great.
So I'm not sure if you have any repeats or somebody's already on the list, but I think that's an absolute win as well. So now that we have this project underway, come spring, I am going to start a program called the Spring Suites for Seniors. It's going to be on Saturday, lots of S's.
Sweets, spring sweets, like sweet candy or
flowers
flowers.
to eat. Yes.
Sweets. Okay.
So I am going to be putting together some little packages of sweets. I will be reaching out to all our participants for this, asking if they would like a visit from one of the officers and some sweets. I will never turn down sweets. I don't know about any of you. But it's just yet another way for us to reach out and start a communication. This program that we started a lot of good conversation on what the seniors in this program, the Sanford Seniors, are looking for. And what we are hearing over and over again is we just want more communication, some face-to-face communication. And please come check on me anytime is what we hear over and over again. So this is another opportunity to get an invite to stop and say hi. And do you have any concerns and how are things going? And by the way, here's some sweets. So yes, from there, I would like to move into the challenge of getting emergency preparedness ready. So I'm going to eventually get to where we can get buckets of 3-day emergency preparedness kits. So I'll be coming to you with, I might need a little bit of help with that one come spring. I'd like to have those kits ready for when we start getting our thunderstorm weather and the electricity goes out and people might not be able to get out of the house, and also for any snowstorms and things like that. So I want to get that ready before next year. So I'll bring that more to you later. But
Okay.
this is the next step: sweets for seniors on Saturdays.
All right.
Wonderful. Oh, thank you, Kristen.
Yes,
so
and
much.
I think that more people are going to be reaching out and giving us emails and more information. I was able to set a couple of people up with email and teach them how to use email. So we're on call for that. If they try to send an email and find that they're having difficulty, the officers know to just go out to the house and go through another tutorial again and try to get them in the understanding of how to send emails and receive emails. So
Thank you. And
yes.
And Kristen, so regarding the emails that you have, if whatever's easiest for you, you could just send them to COA@shutesbury.org.
Okay.
That's our email address, and
Yes.
I would, I check it every day, so then I can start compiling the list.
Okay.
Which is fabulous, really great, because that's something that we've asked people to send us their email, and we've received low response. So you're way more successful than we've been in getting emails.
Well,
So,
that makes me really happy. I'm glad I'm able to help you all out with this as well. So that makes me happy. And I am so glad that we now have a bridge that we're building to get communication, a good fluid communication going back and forth.
yes.
I had one senior say to me, when the power goes out, it would just be nice if you stopped by to check on me. I mean, that's so easy.
Mhm.
That's the most easy request that that I think I've ever been asked. So, and I said, well, thank you for asking, because we don't just want to show up and say, hey, I know you're here, without being welcomed. So that's a really good thing that's happening as well.
Oh, that's wonderful. Wow.
It's really great. Does anyone else have a question or comment? Because we know Kristen's got another meeting. Janice.
But I think, and I missed it, when you are hoping this spring suites for seniors on Saturdays will begin.
I don't have a set date yet, but I'm looking into in around April-ish.
Okay, good. That's good enough for my purposes. Thank you.
Okay, great. So April-ish is when I'd like to get that started. And I don't think, I just want to keep you in the know of the ideas that I have. And if anybody has any to throw back at me, I'm happy to do that. So
I just have a thought. My husband's the recycling coordinator, and they do the trash bag distribution starting in spring. And almost everyone in town comes. So if there were a handout or something that you could have that we could
that's great.
just pass out, and say, if you need this, if you need that, because everybody shows up.
That's a really great idea, Joanne. If you could stay in touch with me on that, that would be so great. I know last year when all the garbage bags were delivered, the officers and I went down to get them off the truck.
Yeah. Yes,
They were having trouble getting them off the truck.
yeah,
So
this is an occasion for great fun, all of the trash bag deliveries. Yes.
that's a fantastic idea. I'll get some made up. That would be wonderful.
Great.
And
Yeah.
and also, Kristen, we do have a grant, so we do have some funds. So if there, we'll keep talking, and if there are costs, let us know, and we can figure out how that might work in our grant.
That's wonderful. I think that when it comes time for the emergency preparedness buckets, I'm going to be looking for a lot of donations for that, but we might end up having some cost with that on a couple of really important things that we need to have in those buckets. So, and I am going to contact the village neighbors to get out that I need donations of things. So I will be in touch with them about that as well.
Great.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you all so much for being welcoming to my ideas and supportive and helping me. I appreciate it.
Well,
So thank you for coming forward with these wonderful plans.
and it's really this really heartwarming on behalf of the council that you're able, that the Sand for Seniors has created a link with people who are wanting to be checked on. And
Yes.
it's really great. Thank you.
That's, I think it's a good thing too. And, that could be a volunteer thing that we develop as well, just checking in for people. If there's so many people that want check-ins and they don't mind if it's not a police officer, if they need a police officer, but maybe we could create sort of, something like that through the village neighbors too, because I know they have a lot of volunteers that are ready to jump in.
Yes.
Okay.
All right. Thank you so much. I know you have another.
Thank you.
meeting,
Thank you so much. I wish I could stay with you guys all night, but I have to go do
Yeah.
this.
We'd
So-
be happy to have you.
Okay, thank you so much. And if anybody has any further questions, just reach out.
Okay, thank you.
Thank
Bye.
you.
Okay. Really great. Okay. So next up is our updates. And so all right, first is the foot clinic. Susan Gomber, do you have any bits?
All I have is a discussion with Sue from when I saw her last time, which was recently. Actually, it was whatever. Just conversation about possibly going back to the town hall, which I know isn't a new discussion. And I'm just wondering. I guess I feel better about going back. The library posted something about in-person story time in town hall. So that says that, things are happening there. And I just wonder what other people think about that. And then also, Linda, because I'm guessing you're still working from home for the most part.
Yeah.
Would they let me open the building? Is there anyone else who could open the building if we keep to the same times as before?
Okay.
So that's just
So,
a thought.
yes, thank you. I guess this would be a conversation with Becky. About this
Okay.
clinic.
I will have a conversation with her.
Susan
okay.
Millinger? Susan Millinger?
Susan G, did Sue talk to you about the fact that she's going to be gone in April? So it would be really convenient for her if Foot Clinic were in town hall, because she could easily find a substitute while she's gone. She's going to be in California then on her day.
She actually, she did give me an appointment in April, and I thought she said she was back then.
Oh, well,
I could have
maybe,
gotten it wrong.
okay, yes, I guess I saw her last Wednesday.
Some Friday, I know. It was a crazy day.
It was the,
Oh, that's right. It was a Saturday morning, actually. She came on Saturday for me.
Right, yeah. Yeah,
came
you're
on
right.
the
Yep, you're right.
26th of February.
Right.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, at that point, she told me that she was going to be in California, Southern California, on that date.
Okay. And in my conversation with her, I said whatever. I thought she was here. So
Interesting.
I can check with her. And what you're saying that a substitute would be what?
Well,
Better to be in town hall or no?
she could easily find somebody to come in on one day, but to go to all the people's houses, which would be
Right.
new to the substitute. She
Right.
said, if town hall isn't open, then she'll just take care of it later.
Okay.
But
Well,
you, can I ask a clarifying question? It sounds like Susan G, you have an appointment in April.
Yes, and I thought she and I talked about, I think I even said, but you're going to be in California, and she said she'd be back by then or something.
Oh,
Who knows?
interesting.
Okay, all right.
But I was in a hurry because as soon as she was done, I was off and driving down to the Cape, and so I may not have been paying attention. But I'll check with her, and I guess keep things as they are, and I'll have a conversation with Becky, if that's okay with the co-chairs prior to the next meeting, to see how she feels about us going back.
Yes, you're welcome to do that, Sue. I can easily do it because I see her when I'm, going into town hall a few times
Okay.
a week. So it's up to you.
It's fine if you want to do it. That's fine.
Yep, I'll ask her, and yeah,
Okay.
I will.
And I will check just with Sue to see if she's not going to be here, and then I'll just put out a email to the council so people will know. As in you, Susan Millinger.
Okay. Yeah. And Sue, I really appreciate your willingness to consider, opening up and setting up and things like that. Because anyway,
Sure.
we can have more conversation about it subsequently once we
Sounds good.
check with Becky and we see where we're at. Okay.
Okay. Yep. Sounds
Okay.
good.
Thank you. And okay, so financials. Let's see, let me find my notes. All right. So we have, these are all, basically as close as possible numbers. We had at the end of our last meeting, well, at our last meeting, we made a commitment to co-sponsor or co-fund some of the library fitness programs in the amount of $2,340, just to refresh your memory, which would leave us with an approximate balance of $3,126.61. Got it, Susan?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And this month, or actually, I should say, in February, we expended, since our last meeting, $53.90 on postage for the survey and $260 for for foot care. In other words, that's the balance of due. There were 6 clients at the last round of visits. So that leaves a balance of $2,812.71. Now, we voted, I lose track of the time now, but we voted an annual allocation to Village Neighbors of $500, which we haven't made, we haven't done yet this year. Or this, this fiscal year. So if we take that $500, that leaves a balance of $2,312.71. I was thinking about the foot clinic, and basically we have 4 more months in the fiscal year. And if we just ballpark it at $200 a month, that may be overstating it, but just in case, that's $800. So that basically leaves us about $1,512.71 to work with. So there you go.
Thank you.
Welcome. And regarding the grant, I just want to also say I'm doing a lot of talking because Joanne asked if I would, be the chair for the evening. Okay, so the next step is, next little report is our grant. And I'd like to tell you that the select board signed off and the paperwork was sent in. So we really now officially have our $6,000 for FY22. And as we've learned that this document is for 10 years and will expire on June 30th, 2032. Because at least until something changes, our standard amount is $6,000 a year. Yeah.
I didn't know what you meant by document. That's proving,
Oh,
sorry.
the grant document.
Okay.
We at first thought there was an error because it said June 30th, 2032 instead of 2022. And then an explanatory document came forward and said, this is why, and this is what we're doing. So, we won't have to fill out a grant. We won't have to do the grant execute a grant document with the select board, but we will have to still do an annual report each year.
Some background for Tracy. The state allocates money to towns based on population every year, and the money goes to the councils on aging. So this is the grant based, they had to recalculate because of the census, but we're still in the lowest category along with a number of other towns. So we will continue to get $6,000 a year from the state for the Council on Aging.
Yeah.
And this is the also, Linda, we won't have to fill out these forms anymore. It's going to be automatic. They're just going to send the money to us, I think. Is that what
Yes,
you?
that's correct. Yeah,
Yeah,
we'll still have
yeah.
to do the annual report bit, with.
Right,
with-
right. But we
what
won't
we
have
do.
to wait on the contract or anything for the grant to arrive.
Correct, yes, which is snazzy because
Mhm.
it's March and this is from July 1, 2021 to June 30th, 2022. So Tracy, we know the money's coming, so we still act as if, and we are able to to spend money because we know it's coming, if that makes any sense. But yeah, so there you go. So that's our grant update. We got it. So and okay, so the next topic is the age-friendly survey. We put down an update just to update, and Susan Millinger wrote to the village neighbors, about a little bit about the cross purposes of, they're sending out surveys and are sending out surveys to a certain amount of people. So it turns out that they sent out 39 surveys.
Janice, question, 39 to Shutesbury or to their membership in general?
No, to their members in Shutesbury.
Oh, okay. So some people, but they may not have been our age grouping, or maybe they were.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. We have some anecdotal information from Joanne, who has surveyed some people
Mhm.
and learned, that they received surveys from village neighbors.
This is Gomberg. I got one from them. I haven't even joined yet. I'm doing orientation next week
Oh,
But
interesting.
you're on their list.
on their list.
Yeah, the people that I talk to are more in their 70s, but they're members of Village Neighbors, so that's why they got the survey.
I'm in my 70s and I'm about to be a member, I guess.
Okay.
So I qualify.
I just filled it out before I got on with you tonight.
Good job.
I
Under
did.
the wire.
Which one, Tracy? The paper one or the online one?
I went online. I don't know what the age range was for the mailed one because I didn't get one from either Village Neighbors or, yeah, I did
Right.
it was so easy to find it, I didn't know where, I just went on the website and clicked on Council on Aging and pretty quickly it was easy for me to see where to click to get to the survey. And
Oh, great.
Great.
Good.
Thank you.
Good.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Tracy, we mailed surveys with return envelopes to Noor, the Life Path staff person who is the age-friendly coordinator. And we mailed them to folks 80 and over, and we had some information about a few other people that we knew did not have internet. So we sent them. So altogether, I think we sent out 67 surveys. And so the main concern, we didn't know initially when we read the Village Neighbors newsletter, we didn't know initially how many they had sent out. Subsequently learning that they sent 39 was a little relieving because we were concerned about confusing people, that they may have already filled out a survey online and then they get one in the mail and, so. Did you want to add anything, Susan?
Well, first of all, I want to apologize because I should not have sent out the email without checking with you all first, and I realized that as soon as I had sent it. But it was, I didn't do it on Google, so there wasn't a take it back option. But I did, yeah. So I really, mea culpa. I should not have done that without checking with everybody. I tell you what my situation was. I was really hoping that I might reach them before they sent out the letters. And that's why that I was just focusing in on that to get it out as soon as possible to maybe stop them before they hit before they got to the pass. But that didn't work. But still, I mean, yeah, it wasn't a good idea.
Oh, Susan, I read your letter. I thought it was excellent.
Oh, thank you.
Yes. Nothing to apologize for.
Well, I should have gotten the okay of this COA.
Yeah, thank you, Susan. And so what it generated though was a good conversation from various members of the Village Neighbors board committees about the need for more collaboration when something like the survey comes up. And Dina Polizzi reached out. She's the person who does the newsletter, the Village Neighbors newsletter, and she offered to be the link, to come to the council, potentially join the council, and because the other towns have someone from Village Neighbors on their councils. Anyway, she has a commitment on Wednesdays, so that it won't work, but it just reminds us to connect with them more when something comes up, and yeah.
And then to contact us too, Linda.
Yeah. Yes. We haven't heard anything from NOR via email, so it'll be interesting to hear how many surveys were submitted. I think we're all curious. No?
Yeah, I was hoping he had let you know, Linda.
Not yet, but we've got, what's today? Today is the 9th, so the survey closes on Friday.
But remember, he said he would be keeping an eye on returns and he would let towns know.
Yeah.
If they were low.
If we were lagging, yes.
So maybe it just means we aren't lagging. I mean, he told us right away at the front end that we were really ahead of the pack.
Yep. Yes, and that reminds me, Janice, did you want to say something about the workshop you went to?
Yeah,
Please.
because he had an opportunity to tell me more the other day in an email, and he didn't, about Shutesbury's response. So on the 14th of February, I represented us on a Zoom meeting called Healthy Aging for All, which was with James Fuccione, or I'm not sure how to pronounce his name, anyway, the same guy who talked to us, to the North Quabbin folks, and he's with Massachusetts Healthy Aging Collaborative. There we go. And it was a small group. Noor had said afterwards he would be sending out a video of the meeting because it was recorded, and notes. And so I wrote to him the other day and I said, I haven't received them yet. If you haven't sent them out, I said it more diplomatically. I said, if you sent them out, I haven't received them, sorry. But anyway, And he said he hadn't done it yet because he was waiting to get them actually from James from the Massachusetts Collaborative or whatever it was I just said. But he did send me the slides that were part of this presentation. And it was kind of a jumble of a meeting. I will send you the slides and the recording and everything if you want later. There were only 20 of us in attendance, and some of us were from, some of the people were James and Noor and someone from, sorry, I'm blanking, the Franklin County regional nurse who had been at other things. But it was interesting because the idea was that they're putting together this sort of guide to help towns like ours further refine the process and just figure out, focus on what we want to do. It's supposed to be a conversation starter. It's not a checklist of what you have to do, but it's still in process. They have piloted it in Framingham, Lowell, and the lower Pioneer Valley, the Pioneer Valley Planning Commission. And then he wanted us to those of us in attendance to answer some questions about identify the top 3 among maybe 9 different areas of concern. And the technology didn't work. People kept saying, you're supposed to pick 1, 2, 3, your top 3, pick 1, and then you click another one and the top one disappears. So the whole meeting got kind of screwed up because of the technology, but we had an interesting conversation anyway. And it was really more interesting, I think, in some ways for him to realize that he just still doesn't get what we're facing out here. He wanted to know, for example, are your seniors happy with the quality of home health aides and homemaker aides or whatever in there that come up to serve them? And the woman from Leiden says, when we call down there to get help for our seniors, no one wants to come up here. We're too far out. And you kind of went, oh. So it kind of went like that. People saying, we have no services here. We have no post office, said one person. We have no grocery store. And so this guy was kind of realizing that just as some of us noted 2 years ago, he doesn't quite have a clue yet what's going on out here. Some highlights of the conversation, just briefly, were for example, the woman, so we don't have anybody who will come up here, said, we only have single family homes in Leiden. Everyone wants to age in place, but there are no services coming to us. And then someone wanted to know what policies would make it easier for communities to address housing and other issues for older adults. For example, not having public schools funded by the property tax might make it easier to reduce property taxes for older adults. I don't know who that was. I think she was someone from outside of our area, but she got in late. So I don't, but she was trying to figure out what on the state level could happen. Another person said that assisted living in our area is very expensive. She said it starts at $6,500 a month. I don't know if that's true, but everybody kind of went, oh. And then,
Yep.
And then this is the really interesting thing that this guy named Bill from Ashfield, yeah, he said his mother lived to be 105. And when she was in her 90s, he said, maybe mom, you should consider moving to assisted living. And she said, the time for me to have done that would have been 20 years ago in her 70s, when I could still hear and get around more and make new friends. I thought that was very interesting.
Yeah, that is.
So I can, once I get the notes, I'll send them out to everybody. There was this checklist thing of the different areas of concern. We might be able to make use of that in a follow-up survey of our own at some point, but I'll just stop at this point because I'm getting ahead of myself. So that's it.
Thank
If you
you.
have questions, I'll try to answer them.
Thank you, Janice.
Thank you.
Does anyone have any questions?
I do.
Sure, Tracy.
What was that, the organization that you had that meeting with?
Okay, it was through the Life Path organization, the Franklin North Quabbin network that we're doing the survey with,
Okay.
that gone out. James Fuccione, if I'm pronouncing it right, is from the Massachusetts Healthy Aging Collaborative, and they're trying to put together a healthy aging for all guide.
Got it.
And he was just talking to the Franklin County North Quabbin folks. He said that originally the Massachusetts Healthy Aging Collaborative was funded by Tufts University, and now it's been taken over by something else. I'm sorry, I don't have it all here.
Okay.
So they're kind of, and one of the things he said was that using this guide is that they're still working on. Let's see, a couple, I have it written down somewhere. Some towns have gotten grants for things,
Yeah.
like Framingham, where is it? I can't find it now, but one of the towns was able to get where they have public transit, which of course this guy, James, had no idea we don't really have it out here. They had a fare-free zone, you know, people could get on a bus and ride a certain area in their town without having to pay, things like that. So it's pretty still Eastern state focused and urban center focused.
I just want to interject something about, so I'm just sort of wondering here. I met with Dina from Village Neighbors, it was several months ago, it was before the winter. And she told me that David,
David Dan?
no, David Olkin, right, Sandy?
That's David Dan,
That's David
Sandy's
David
husband.
Dan, oh, Sandy's, yeah. I clean for Sandy, so I just assumed, yeah. She told me that right prior to him passing, he had been grant writing with Tufts, some connection to Tufts, and
Yeah.
that apparently we qualified. And then Dina was going to take it on because it wasn't finished or something, and then it slid, but it didn't end up happening. But I'm just wondering, like, because what you were just saying to me sounded super familiar to the things that Dina was telling me that they address. So I'm kind of thinking it must be the same organization. But anyway, I just was throwing that out there because it seems like something that should get picked up again. Like, because apparently David knew that he was told that we were going to get, you know, Village Neighbors are going to get all this money, and it never happened. So
Right. Yes,
and
that's right. That was Village Neighbors. Yeah.
so you know something about it.
I
Okay.
remember David telling us about it.
Okay.
You know, as telling the council about it, because he was on the council. He was, you know, doing both things. So we were kept
Yeah.
up to date. Yeah.
Is that something that Village Neighbors would do, or is it something we could pick up and do?
It was
Beyond-
something Village Neighbors was
It's
doing.
Village Neighbors. It's beyond us.
Not, okay.
Big.
Yeah.
Because I got interviewed for this because I was an example of somebody who really, it was right after I'd had fallen and cracked my sacrament. I needed Village Neighbors help. So I was in there as both COA member and somebody who'd really benefited from Village Neighbors. And the thing people were really, I think, quite interested in is the possibility of getting a van that
Yes.
we could use. Yeah. And I remember it, I think, as being Dina Stander, who
That's
was in the chair, I think. She seemed to be running things. So it'd be interesting to talk to Dina about that.
Well,
Dina,
I did. That's what I'm saying.
okay.
That's who I
Okay.
met with. And Dina was telling me that a deadline was missed and that it needed to be picked back up again, but it hasn't been. So that's why I was wondering if maybe like, if we could, but you're saying no. So it's got to be Village Neighbors. So
I think it would need to be multiple towns given our size.
Yeah.
Well, I
And,
think
yeah.
this is also something that Nor's survey is aiming towards, is getting, you know, grant money to do perhaps transportation and things like that. I think as a town administrative body, we're hampered in some ways. And maybe this was Village Neighbors as a nonprofit would qualify in ways that the COA wouldn't.
Yeah, you're right, Joanne.
I'm just guessing because
Good point.
Yeah, I remember
David was
something
so
about that.
instrumental, in getting Village Neighbors going.
Yes.
When Susan and I met with some people from Village Neighbors and different councils on aging on Zoom back in April of 2020, the idea was floated of a van. Nancy Spittle brought this up from Orange Council on Aging and also on this Village Neighbors. So
Actually,
it gets confusing, but she
Yeah.
brought up the idea of a van.
Nancy's from New Salem.
You say,
Right,
okay,
yeah.
okay, I got the wrong person. Someone was talking about a van.
Well, it was just us. It was just us five. And I don't think Leverett was there as usual. So it's just
Right.
us four. Yeah.
So
Well,
anyway, it's been floated around a bit, but then
Yeah.
I think this is where NOR's survey or Life Path survey, our survey, because we contributed to it too, is trying to get this kind of thing going because we can't afford a van and Windle can't afford a van and New Salem can't afford a van and who's going to drive it and who's going to insure it. But if we got together, we might be able to do something. I'm just throwing it out as sort of an example. The other thing is that Village Neighbors did come up quite a bit during this Healthy Aging for All session with James from Mass, whatever. I'm sorry. I can't have two things up on my screen at once very easily. So the Village Neighbors did get talked about.
Okay.
Sue?
Eunice, before we change the topic, could you spell this guy's last name?
Okay, yeah, let me pull up the slide. I can send you this also.
Okay, send it to me. That's fine.
It'll give you the names and the different organization names. His
Yeah.
name is James Fuccione.
Okay,
He's
thank you.
from the Massachusetts Healthy Aging Collaborative.
Got
And
that.
I will forward this to you so you have the background when you're trying to distill what we're doing here tonight.
Thank you. I appreciate
Thank you, Janice. Thank you very much. I just had a little light bulb go off, and which was to remind me to tell you that we do need to be finished by 6:45-ish because there's another meeting at 7 that needs this Zoom spot. So that was, we're doing great and I think we'll be fine, but just in case, I just want to, put it out. Okay, so the next item on the agenda is Joanne and I thought, well, we'll just put an item on about the Gazette. We don't have to make a decision tonight, but just to begin to talk about whether or not we want to put together an issue. We don't know Sally's availability and if she would want to, join in. Tracy, so Sally Fairfield is not a member of the council, though pre-pandemic, she was the newsletter, the Gazette editor. So she'd come and we'd talk about content and she'd put it all together and then, we do it. So we haven't had an issue. Our last issue was just before everything closed for the pandemic. So we've been relying upon primarily putting articles in the Our Town newsletter. Susan? M? Susan
Oh,
Millington? I
what?
see your box is lit up, so I was thinking you wanted to say something.
It wasn't lit up until I spoke. I thought, no, I just think it's a great idea to put out an issue of the Gazette.
Janice?
I was one kind of pushing this at our meeting, I guess it was in January, because I was concerned that the library fitness programs, while as worthy as they were, might take so much fun, so we wouldn't be able to put out a Gazette. And I was also thinking at the time when Kristen Burgess came with her Sand for Seniors, thought this would be a vehicle to get that word out. Now, of course, we're almost at the end of this, hopefully the need for sand, so it's a little late. Plus, I had a question, has anyone talked to Sally? But now, with these other things rolling out through the police department, I thought, oh, well, I was going to say, maybe we just keep the thought of having a Gazette at some point, not rushing into it because we don't have much to put into it, but it could become a vehicle for promoting the suites for seniors on Saturdays and the emergency preparedness buckets. It could also, at some point, when we get the responses from NOR, we might want to then do our own much smaller survey to kind of focus in on like, okay, what are the top 3 areas of your concern? Like that PowerPoint thing he was trying to get us to do didn't work, but you know, we could use that as a springboard for something else. So those are only my thoughts. I was all wanting to do it back in the end of January, and now it's like, well, I don't know, but I was the one who was kind of making noise back then. So I've made noise now and I will stop.
But
think it's
Janice,
definitely-
what is the Our Town schedule?
I don't know. I have to talk to Linda and Becky.
Yes.
Becky and Linda
Yeah.
have to talk. Now that we have a town meeting date.
Yes, exactly. Now we have a town meeting date. So it's on my tickler list, my admin secretary tickler list to talk with you and Becky about the Our Town when, you know, when we put out the spring issue. I know, I mean, I know that papers are due. Oh, anyway, I have the date somewhere about when not nomination papers, but you know, what do you call them?
Petitions? Are they petitions?
Not
I don't know.
petitions, you know, when you want to run for office.
That is
Yeah.
nomination papers.
Nomination papers, yeah.
You get-
Um,
okay.
when those are due, and so that's a piece that will, that which is sometime in April. So that will help us figure out when the newsletter will go out, because people will have candidate statements.
And that also might mean we can put off having a Gazette, because instead of the town meeting happening in middle of June or whatever it was last time,
Mhm.
It's a little sooner.
Yep, yeah, yeah, because it's May 21st, if you don't know already, May 21st is annual town meeting. So you're right, because it would be, by the time we get ourselves together, we may be at cross purposes of getting a Gazette out and getting Our Town out. Susan?
I think when we put it out, we really want to have the results from the survey. I think that would be because we've been pushing people to fill it out. We need to provide them with what happened, tell them what happened. And then Janice, I'm sorry, God, I'm having Janice, if you want to are going to propose another survey, that would be appropriate to follow on, but we do need to give out the data.
Yeah,
The big
who knows how long that will be.
Yeah. Also, the Cemetery Commission is planning to have another one of those workshops, working cleaning graves. And I would suspect that the seniors would be some of the people who would be interested in that project. So it might be helpful to be able to announce that, although maybe it'll be announced in Our Town, but it's going to be a lot of government stuff, town meeting stuff in this next newsletter.
There'll be some town meeting stuff, but it won't be it'll be a newsletter. There won't be any warrants or any of that stuff, because we can't do that kind of mailing out as an outsource. And we've learned that it doesn't really, it's not a cost effective method of getting the information out to people. The warrant and all of that. It's all posted online, and we have paper copies available at the meetings and so forth. So, anyway, blah, blah, that's another topic. So I'm hearing that we'll, just table the Gazette for now and keep it on the agenda and, see where it brings us. Is that,
I think so, Linda, and I would just, this is Joanne speaking. People can just jot down ideas that they have because, there have already been several really good ideas generated. So write it down when you think of it and we can compile.
okay.
And Janice adds that if so, I don't know who is the contact with Sally. Maybe it's you, Linda. Just say, we're thinking of this. How do you feel?
Okay, that's a great idea. I will be happy to
Give her a heads up.
check in with Sally and see what her thoughts are, if, yay or nay, yeah, thank you. Yep, I can do that. And so the last item on our agenda is a legislative update from Susan Millinger that she's graciously allowed us to carry over for a couple of meetings.
Yep.
Well, it's really not relevant any longer in as much as I do not know what happened to the legislation, but the situation is related to the whole healthy aging thing. I attended a program at LifePath, i.e. a Zoom program, which was primarily run by a bunch of people who administer different healthy home health and assisted living environments in Franklin, North Quabbin. And they were talking about their main problem, which is staff. And the reason they have trouble staffing the home health, getting home health aides and getting people to work in various group facilities is because they're paid so poorly. And there's also an issue of training. The standards for people in this area have not changed in a long time. And most other states around us have updated their training standards, and we have not. So there was legislation, there were bills in the legislature to deal with both of those issues, to enable, to raise wages for staff and to provide a new training set of standards. And as I say, I haven't checked to see what's happened to it, and it would be interesting to know. But they began the program with a short video that was very informative and short, talking about the basic problem. And because we're concerned with healthy aging in our area, and because we sure would like to have home health aides available to people that would actually come to our towns, it is an issue that we should be aware of and possibly writing our legislators about. If not this year, then next year. Next time.
Tracy?
And I just wanted to add, there's not a whole lot that we as little Shutesbury people can do, but that is a big part of the Build Back Better plan. That, they haven't been able to get a vote on it. That is a big piece of it. And I'm wondering, it's really good to hear that the state also is looking at doing it on a state level, and maybe that's what's going to end up happening if that Build Back Better plan never gets up for a vote. But it's a nationwide problem with the pay. Traditionally, female jobs, it's across the board, generally low pay for the hardest work. I was a home health aide when I was in college, and it's hard work.
Yes.
And there's a lot of finesse, and especially if you do personal care, which I did. I was an 18-year-old kid who, felt a little guilty when they said most people don't volunteer for this part, but there's really a need. And okay, I was terrified. But some of the most gratifying work that I ever did, but very difficult. And the pay is, really bad.
Yeah.
Really bad. So that's just wanted to say that.
Which reminds me that I had forgotten about this session. It was not only administrators of various kinds, but also we had legislators there. I know Joe was there, and I think McGovern came in for the federal perspective. So It was definitely worthwhile. I wonder if I ought to ask and see if they recorded it, because I think people would enjoy seeing it, learning the issues.
And I was thinking, granted, the same people who get the Gazette or whatever go online to look at a YouTube video, it might be something to publicize to the larger community. Or
Yeah,
that video you talked about at the beginning.
yeah. And it's very short. We could actually have it on our website, I would think.
Ah,
But LifePath has it on their website. I haven't looked for it, though, I have to say. But you know, something like this, we also could get, when things improve, Mary Ann to show a video.
Tracy?
Susan, this is
Susan.
Susan.
Sorry.
Did you say that you were talking about training upgrades have not happened, and I wasn't sure if I heard you right, that in our area, meaning
State of Massachusetts.
Say it again.
State of Massachusetts has not upgraded its
Okay.
requirements for training
Okay.
in
I
about
wasn't
10.
sure. I
No.
just wasn't sure if you were referring to just our, Shutesbury, North Franklin County area, or the state. So that was all.
Yeah, it was the state. Sorry that I didn't make that clear, Susan. Thanks for
Well, it's
asking.
it's my ears.
No, it isn't. It's me not
Thank
saying. You're welcome.
Tracy, did you have something?
Yeah, just one more thing to say about that is that I do believe, I listen to a lot of podcasts, and I'm not 100% positive about this, but maybe that video from McGovern would clarify. I do believe that in the talks about breaking up the Build Back Better plan into smaller units to try to get certain things to pass, less for longer type of thing, I think that the home health care was one of the things that is being considered to be a piece. Health, there's a couple categories in the healthcare thing, so I'm just sort of thinking forward to educating and then participating, or if we get some sort of like a campaign to contact our legislators saying that yes, that we want this to be one of the pieces that gets pulled out on a local, state, and federal level. I guess that's probably going to be part of the way that these folks are going to make decisions about what they're going to shoot for. I guess Joe Manchin's on board with the healthcare thing. He's kind of running the show, it looks like, with the choices. So I don't know, I was just thinking that maybe that could be something we could do too, is try to get people to, write to their legislators that you want this to be, one of the pieces they pull from the Build Back Better and focus.
Yeah. Yeah.
We do have to be careful as a municipal organization, what we can do. So that would be
that's the
something.
village papers would be helpful.
Yeah, and we just want to be, we just want to be sure. I don't know, like we want to just like, if we're going to do something like that, we just want to just like, check, make sure that it's okay, that we advocate for something.
Well, Kevin was talking about what he's advocating for in the legislature, so I betcha that it's okay. But you're right that we need to check what we can and can't do. You're right.
Right. Yeah. Just being sure that it's okay. I know that this is, are we good with this topic? Because I have one more sort of it's unanticipated topic, and that is membership, and Tracy, and your thoughts about if you have questions about the work of the council, if you are interested in being a member, if just your thoughts about that.
Okay, I'm definitely interested. One thing that would be really helpful to me is if there's some kind of a document that shows the programs that you've already got. I'm getting an idea of some of the things that you're looking to do, but because I'm really not familiar with what the Council on Aging does in town. like what happens at this, because everything's been closed for the last 2 years. So that would be really helpful. And the other thought that I had is that, I mean, I'm a member of Village Neighbors, you know, in both levels. I'm a volunteer, and I have
Okay.
chatted with some people from there. So if you're looking for like a liaison, because you're talking about Dina, but then she doesn't have the ability, then maybe that could be like a little niche that I take. Maybe I could be a go-between, or, you know, it means I would have to start attending the village. I know the Village Neighbors meeting. I remember Dina telling me when it was, and it wasn't a good time. It was like, it's earlier in the day or something. But maybe I could just be like a liaison where I talk to Dina or Nancy and Dina on a Zoom, and then I come and talk to, you know, to the meeting here. I could try to figure something out. So.
So to answer your question, one, our website has a lot of information
Okay.
about what, you know, what we're about, and what we were doing before the pandemic, you know, the Med Ride program and our community luncheons and so on. And does anyone else have anything to offer? Janice?
Well, I don't know how far back the annual reports are online now. They wouldn't be linked from our page, but there are some annual reports up there. And if nothing else, I wrote the one that, of course, you all approved that came out before the pandemic, which was talking about what we were doing then with numbers, like so many people attended the potlucks and blah, blah, blah. I could send that to Tracy.
Oh, that'd be great.
Or it might
Thank
be,
you.
it might be on the website under annual reports.
Yep, if you go
Okay.
to the homepage and you look at about something about, you know, there's a,
Yeah.
you know,
But I also don't necessarily have your.
there are annual reports posted there, so you can look
Okay.
up, you can look there and look at the council's report. That's a great idea, Janice.
Demographics, let's see. Where would
No.
it be? I'm looking right now. Okay, look under town governance. The top, so on the menu bar in Shutesbury, org, top menu bar, town governance, and then the first thing under it is annual town reports.
Oh, great. Thank you.
So it'll take you back more than what I have.
Okay.
Susan Millinger?
Do we have the gazettes on our webpage?
Yes, we do.
Yep.
Oh,
Yep.
good. All right. That
Yep.
sounds like the place to go. And I feel kind of silly that I didn't, you know, already look there.
That's okay. You know, that's fine. And so I mean, we didn't put this on the agenda, you know, to consider, and I don't know how people feel about doing, you know, usually what the process is to, you've attended a couple of meetings, and you know, we meet the second Wednesday of the month at 5:30. 5:30 to 7. We rarely go over 7. And usually, you know, after someone's attended a couple of meetings and expressed their interest, then we would vote as council to make a recommendation to the select board for an appointment. And I don't know how folks feel, if you prefer that it be on the agenda as a specific item, or if you want to do it as an unanticipated item. It's up to what folks think. Susan?
If we were thinking about doing it tonight, I think Tracy needs time to think about this and
Yeah,
look into
yeah.
it.
Give me the only, yeah, I'm going to take a look at that. I have to be cautious about, it is good for me to step back and think about it. And it's something I'm trying to do in my life, is to always do that, because I'm, you know, I have done quite a bit of thinking about this, but clearly I've also had a difficult time getting to some of the meetings. Here's the only issue that I do have for myself. And I have spoken to Susan about this, but I work with folks with developmental disabilities, and I have a client that I normally meet with on Wednesday nights. She's agreed to move to Tuesdays on the second week of the month. But change is very difficult. So I have to be careful about, so, you know, that's, so if notice is short or something goes wrong, sometimes like I won't be able to come, because if it's not going to work well for her, for me to switch it, like last minute is definitely not good. Susan told me that this doesn't happen often, but you've just happened to have over the last months more changes than normal.
Mhm.
So, but just so you know that's, you know, something that, if I have to say I can't come because I just can't switch it, or if we've already got a plan, and then that's where it can just get a little difficult for her, so.
I
Okay.
think, this is Gomberg. I think, Tracy, that the changes were to accommodate Noor regarding the survey work. I could be
Some of
wrong,
them.
but we did have
Yeah.
a lot of changes, but I think it was, not the usual meeting.
Yeah, and that's what Susan had told me, but I just wanted to put that out there just so you know that, you know, there's a good reason if I can't do it, it's because I've got somebody else who, short notice is difficult for, but
Yes.
it sounds like there's normally not, you know.
No,
short-
normally we meet on the, we're pretty good.
Yeah.
We have our set time, and at 5:30, this is our niche.
Yeah,
you
I
know,
really
but-
like the 5:30, most of the meetings are 7.
Yeah.
I'm only 58, but that's late for me.
Yeah, we like the, I mean, that's been why, because 5:30 to 7. So we'll, our next meeting will be
April 13th.
thank you, Susan. Okay.
Wow, April. Wow.
April.
I've already got it in my calendar, and my
okay.
client knows that we're making a switch that week. So I'll definitely be at the next meeting, and
Oh.
I'll let you know. And maybe I'll even, if I made a decision beforehand, I'll just email you, Linda,
You can email COA. Yep.
or
at-
COA. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the best. And yeah, so we'll, that'll be great. We'll talk about it with you at the next meeting.
Yeah.
And yeah, it'll be great. Thank you. Thanks. Anybody, anything else? It is 6:45.
We've got to get out of here.
Yeah.
Look at
Well,
this, folks.
it just, anyway, are we good?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. All right. So I am going to reach out to Sally about to, see where she is regarding the Gazette, and I'll have something for the next meeting, and I'll check with Becky about Foot Clinic. And we'll keep at it. Okay. So do we have a motion to adjourn?
This is Gomberg. I move we adjourn.
Second.
Okay. Roll call.
Bernhard, aye.
Gomberg, aye.
Ray, aye.
Billinger, aye.
And Scott, aye. Thanks, everybody. Take
Good
good
meeting.
care. And
Nice to see you all.
Thanks for
again.
joining us,
Bye.
Tracy.
yeah, thanks.
Welcome. Bye.
Bye, everybody.
Thanks. Bye-bye.
Take
Bye-bye.
care. Bye.